in the chapter, or in the, not, it's not a chapter, what is it? It's a principle, Wake Up to the Gifts. You talk about the different ways that people see the world. 3 different ways people see the world. People who see the world, they see what's wrong, that critical method. People who see objectively, the scientific method. And people who see the gift, the improviser's method. And then you went on to say that your personal default is critical, that you're more likely to see what's wrong, what should be fixed. So, so knowing you, I know that you must have very practical methodologies that you use just when you notice that you're in the critical mindset to shift into the mindset of the improviser that everything is a gift. And I wonder if you might be willing to tell us about that and maybe lead us all through some, okay, great.
And you know about this too. Rebecca's the leading witness here. She's going to get you to talk about Naikan. There's, I think it's true that my natural default is critical. Sometimes it's objective, but what I'm working, the muscle I'm trying to get going is that always noticing the gift, always noticing what I'm receiving. Even in moments when I'm the most annoyed or angry or something, to look for what is the gift inside of that. And it's not just the gift, it's not some abstract thing. It has to do with, in a practical way, of looking at the detail of any moment and saying, what am I receiving right now? Right now, I am receiving the attention of a lot of people. I was going to say a number, but I have no idea how many people are out there. You're listening to me. I'm receiving light that is illuminating my face so that you can see me, and someone, presumably in the light board, their work is making this happen. Someone put this chair here so that I can sit on it, and someone kindly thought of bringing me water, beautiful flowers, and a rug to make this feel like home. Someone took the tickets, and someone sent out flyers. I think it was Lisa. So sometimes I can notice what was done, but I'm not sure exactly who did it. I don't know who put these chairs here, but a real person, if I knew who he or she was, I'd really say thank you to them, because this specific act of having the chair here is one of the reasons that I'm able to do what I'm doing now, telling you. And so Naikan is it's actually a Japanese meditation form that was founded by a Japanese businessman, Yoshimoto Ishin, who was actually made a fortune. He created Nagahai. And he also had this huge spiritual enlightenment experience when he spent weeks on end meditating on the question of what he received from the world without food and water. And this was some austere Buddhist practice. And at the end of it, he kind of woke up to the world, and the world looked brand new, as you hear stories about people who've had an enlightenment experience. And this new world that he saw was a world of abundance, a world in which he began to really get it, that from before he was born, he had been taking from the world. He had been taking from his mother's womb, her nourishment. And from the time he came into the world, kicking and screaming, he had been taking and taking and taking. And that we don't like to look at ourselves that way, because we like to think of ourselves as always kind of paying our bills, and we're in there doing our part. We're not a taker. I'm fair with everybody. But when you study your life and the question of what you've received from others, what you've actually given back, and there's actually a third question which is sort of interesting: the trouble and bother you cause other people. Those are the 3 questions of this meditation form. And I went to Japan and sat in a monastery for a week, and 18 hours a day meditated on those 3 questions, going through my life in a chronological fashion. First asking those questions about my mother, my relationship to my mother, what I received from her, what I've given to her, and the trouble I caused, and then etc. So I examined my whole history using these 3 questions. And then after I went through asking and answering the questions of my parents, I got to ask and answer them about significant others in my life, my husband and important teachers. So I began to look when I had this list, and the list was enormous. It's not, the thing about Naikan is not about generalizations. Oh yes, I was given a lot. No, I have to write down what that was. And so looking at the detail, the moment-by-moment detail of what we receive from others, even when we don't like it. And a lot of times we get confused because what's coming at us isn't what we would have chosen, or it's not on our agenda. But Naikan asks you to keep asking and answering those questions. What are you receiving? And notice that, notice the gift in the specific gift in each moment. And I suggest that when you're standing in a grocery store, for example, you let your mind float. I call that Naikan in the cracks. When you don't have anything else to do, you're stuck. Think about what you received that day. There's a practice of, at the end of the day, going through the day and looking at what others have done for you. My husband got up and he opened the windows today, and he made the bed, and he got the coffee for me. And so I'm looking all the time to try to look for checks on that list of what others are doing for me. And when I begin to see the world with that lens, I'm looking at it then through that 3rd lens, the eye of, I like to call it the eye of the improviser, because I want improvisers to use this lens. There was actually, someone wrote a criticism of the book. They said, you know, there are improv principles in there, but I don't know where she gets off saying that everything's a gift, and why that's an improv principle. Okay. But you guys all know the So anyway, but you got to flex that muscle, because I do think we tend to look at what's wrong, how other people are bothering us, how the guy who's going too slow is the jerk, and the one who's going too fast is the maniac. That's right. So, noticing the world, and what that does is if you start seeing things as gifts, man, you better get your thank you notes out, because there's a lot of people to thank. Routinely. And I do spend a lot of time actually writing thank you notes and sending emails. And one of the things, the ways that I promote the book is anytime anyone on the internet mentions improv wisdom, I get a Google alert usually. So I'll go to the site and I'll write them a thank you note for mentioning the book and thanking them for helping to spread it in the world. And that's the only way really books these days move into the world, is through that. And when I hear about somebody, you know, across the country who I've never met in Florida, who's working with Alzheimer's caregivers, and the book has been helpful there. Oh, so spread the word.